Welcome to Sparks to Fire, the interview show for people desiring real change in their life. I'm Jeff Hicks, and today I talk with Shoshana. She's a sacred feminine program teacher, a dance instructor, and a nationally renowned psychic. Her website is priestessworks.com. In the Priestess Priest program, she explores the sacred feminine with her students. You think you know what the sacred feminine is? I know I didn't. Listen to what Shoshana has to tell us about it. Intuition? Is it as simple as it seems? What is the goddess? What is women's work? Do these questions resonate with you? Shoshana offers unique and compelling answers in these fascinating 30-minute interview. Watch her arms and hands move to show us how we can move our bodies for a fuller understanding. I think there's something special there. Have you got questions or comments or suggestions? Type them in the comments box below. Sign up for the announcements of the upcoming interviews in that box on the right. Next, Shoshana, priestessworks.com, here on Sparks to Fire. Shoshana, welcome to Sparks to Fire. Shoshana, you work with the sacred feminine, and I've been hearing that term a lot, especially in the past week or so, and that's why I'm excited to talk to you. And I'm not sure exactly what that means. What is the sacred feminine?
Well, if you were to type in sacred feminine on Google, what you would come up with is a list of work that's designed for women to enhance their sensuality, or work that's designed for women to enhance their connection with their intimate partner. All right, so any search you're going to do on sacred feminine, that's primarily what's going to come up. Or on Google, what you're going to find is relationships between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Sacred feminine, how the feminine supported the masculine evolution of spiritual development, or how women support a love life, or how women can connect spiritually with their sexuality. And what I teach,
okay,
and what the
I had a sense there was a but coming.
Yes, yes, but what it is that I teach and what the sacred feminine is something very different and misunderstood because of the natural, I think, misconception that people have that feminine nature equals sexuality, or that feminine nature equals supporting the masculine nature. Okay, so the sacred feminine work is a passion of mine, and it's work that I've developed over the last 10 years. And to put it into a couple of sentences, primarily what sacred feminine is a definition and a pathway for how women, distinct from men, or how femininity, distinct from masculinity, evolves. And there are differences between male and female. There are differences between who we are, how we are hormonally, how our brains work, what our life path is about, what our souls are for, and why we came into the feminine form. So essentially what the sacred feminine is, and what my mission in life is to create an expanded definition of sacred feminine that's not locked into feminism, but also isn't locked into this sort of like female supporting male relationship, but is the access and a pathway to the raw and powerful goddess and the raw and powerful nature that creates the essence inside of form. Okay, so sacred feminine is the energy behind magic, the magic that allows manifestation to take place, and is the essence that men and women can connect to manifest their dreams, their purpose, and their path. It's the missing piece.
So it is not just for women. That was the last clause you just said. It's not just for women.
Yes, that's right.
And you know, you're probably right. I did not look it up on Google, but if you looked up masculine and you saw all those things as the obverse of what you described that Google would describe them, there would be an uproar.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the goddess.
Yeah.
What is that? What is the goddess?
I love that you asked that question.
Cool.
Because that's another, I love that you asked that question, because that's another misconception too. So usually when we think of a goddess, we think of a deity or archetype.
Sure.
So maybe an image, or I like to say sometimes you see women wearing t-shirts that say I'm a goddess, or you see bumper stickers that say I'm a goddess, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can read about different goddesses, you can understand their history, why people worship them, but what's underneath the image is a way that people have intellectually, artistically, and spiritually created avenues for people to connect to this very deep energy current. And it's so powerful and very strong. You have all the deities that represent the various aspects of that energy current, but underneath it is these energies that run through nature. And those energies can be defined in three aspects. All goddesses, all deities, in every religion, everywhere across the world can be categorized into three major energy currents. The first one being love and compassion. So you have deities that represent love and compassion like Mary or Kuan Yin, like this. Mm-hmm. The next energy current, which is very misunderstood. Love and compassion is a little more understood, especially when you're talking with women. Although we discuss this in my courses as exalted or unexalted, meaning that these energy currents can be expressed in a positive manner or a negative manner. Okay. The second one, which is very misunderstood, is my favorite, is power and strength. Power and strength. And then there's deities that represent power and strength, like Kali or Durga. And then the third and final energy current that exists in nature is beauty and abundance, which would be goddesses like Lakshmi or Saraswati. These would be goddesses of music and sex and sensuality. And throughout every culture that you do research on, there was temples erected with universities inside of these temples where people would study one of those aspects throughout their entire lifetime, developing that energy current. Now, humans can only run a little bit of energy through their body at any given moment. When you're talking about nature, it's so broad and so vast and even universal that trying to connect to that energy current can take an entire lifetime. Okay, so when I say goddess, I'm not talking about the deity per se, but I'm talking about this vast spiritual path that one could dedicate themselves to develop that energy current. And in the work that I teach, you don't pick it, it picks you. And your karma and what's happening in your life, and this is for men and women, everything that your life is bringing to you and everything that your life is reflecting for you for your various lessons in life, those lessons will always reflect to you where you're lacking in your ability to run that energy through your body. Okay, so for example, let's see, we're talking about accidents, all right? So for example, if this energy current, which exists in nature, and we're part of nature, we are humans, we're built of nature, the energy current of love and compassion is wanting you to run that energy through you. It's wanting you to understand how you express love and compassion, and you don't get it because how you've always lived your life is through power and strength. And you know how to be powerful, you know how to be effective, you know how to get up in the morning and make your life work, you know how to work a job, you know how to do what you know how to do well. But then all of a sudden, this new energy wants to come through you and you don't get it, you don't know it. So you're going to get bombarded with scenarios that are going to force you to learn about the pathway of healing. And if you can know that, and you know that you're now changing energy currents and you're now going to dedicate yourself to your personal healing, life works itself out. Energy starts to work for you so that you adopt your healing path. The issue is that we don't know, as women, we don't know that spiritual development is not just as simple as dedicating oneself to what we think we should. It is really important for us as women to understand that there is these vast energy currents that are wanting to come through us, and if we know what it is, we can surrender to it and allow the process of life to move us forward in that direction. But that requires faith, trust, and education.
Now,
does any of that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay.
And so now what I'm wondering is a couple of these aspects are minimized in the American culture. Love and compassion being one of them, and maybe some beauty other than sexual beauty is minimized for women and is not respected and is often ridiculed and made less. So what can you do? My sense is that women have to be shown that they have these energy currents running through them, available to them. And how do you do that?
Well, I mean, that's the great mystery, right? That's the great mystery. For 5,000 years, the entire planet has worked diligently and in unison to eradicate the ancient teachings and the mysteries that could bring a woman fully conscious and able to understand how to develop yourself so that you could become one with this great spirit. That's a challenge.
Yes.
That's a challenge. The gift is because it is lost information. The only where it could hide is deep, deep, deep within you. And so being able to look inward and being able to journey down into the depths of ourselves, we can locate that. We don't have to find it out here. It's in here. And it's inside of what I call the broken place inside. Now, most women desperately want to fill that empty space, that broken place. They want to fill it. They want to fill it, fill it, fill it. And again, my work is now developing so that I can work with men too, because it's become really clear through the years that I've taught that men want and need and deserve to have the same aspects to develop if they so choose, right? So if you remove everything that you've placed inside of this kind of empty space inside of you, you heal, you clear, you remove, then what you have is a very quiet void inside of your heart. And it's through that very quiet space that somebody can journey deep, deep, deep into this energy current that exists within our planet and connect with it and get quiet enough to listen to it. So the answer to your question is sort of simple, but it's also difficult, which is that it's within us. You know it. You can hear it, but you got to do the clearing work to remove everything that's like convoluting this voice that's within you.
I know what you're saying is true. Throughout my life, I was ridiculed for the feminine aspects of my life. You know, I was born in the 50s. Men were manly men. Work was number one. And a whole lot of things that I was feeling needed to be pushed aside in order for me to fulfill the role that was expected.
Yeah.
And then especially I noticed it grossly through energy work. When that stuff started moving, I'm like, holy crap. You know, and when the energy from my heart started moving, I started realizing how convoluted I had made things and how I had made them difficult.
And we do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we do, even if we think we're on a spiritual path too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you had asked me if I was spiritual, I would have told you yes. Yeah.
Right.
Through all that time, when I was making life hell for many of the people that loved me and the people around me, yeah, because it was convoluted. You've got a quote. You mentioned that women's work is about identifying the convoluted emotions women project on people. Since you used the word convoluted, let's go there.
Yeah.
How do we convolute it, and how do we unconvolute it?
Okay. So you could imagine yourself as a vessel, right? And inside of your vessel goes things.
Okay.
Those
convoluted things.
Right.
Okay.
Society, the same old stuff you always hear. Society's beliefs, your parents' beliefs, like all that stuff, right? You always hear all that stuff, and you got to clear all that stuff out so that you can see, where you want to go in your future, and even believe that you can go there in your future, right? Mm-hmm. The issue with women is that because women have so many unprocessed emotions from childhood, women suppress their deepest desires. They don't know how to ask for what they need. They don't know how to ask for what they want, or they do it like aggressively, but it's not getting down to their truth. Okay? So, this gets into a whole concept that could take me, 2 years to work through, right? With somebody. But essentially, because the feminine nature, this deep nature that I'm talking about, is suppressed in the world, it's suppressed in our culture, it's suppressed in society, it's suppressed in men, it's suppressed in women. That deep feminine nature is very misunderstood, sort of like before people knew that there was such a thing as psychology. All right? So when people started thinking about their psyche, a whole world opened up for them, that they could take their emotions and they could say, oh wait, I'm projecting my emotions on that person. This is me pushing out what it is that I haven't healed inside of me, projecting it on somebody else so that they're reflecting it back to me, and there's the mirror. There's my Maya. There's the reflection. I can use how I view other people to view inside of myself and then heal myself, right? So the convoluted emotions for women are so not just because there's been other people's thoughts and beliefs and ideas implanted into us, but culturally and psychologically there is a missing component to how we develop. And that missing component to how our brains and our physiology develops is answered inside of these 3 energy currents. A healthy woman needs to have a balance of power and strength, love and compassion, and beauty and abundance to understand that these are aspects in your life that are being reflected back to you. But because we don't know that, we tend to project out on other people and point the finger out, and then we're not even able to do our healing work even if we want to, because it's a missing aspect to psychology. Why is it missing? Because for 5,000 years, the world has worked to diminish and disgrace feminine work. And I'm not talking about like paganism or anything like that. I'm talking about the deep mysteries that bring people into their spiritual truth.
Now, one of the tools that you use is dance. You mentioned the physiology and bringing those 3 energies together. How does dance work?
Well, okay, so what it is that I teach is what's called belly dance, which is sort of like an American term for Middle Eastern dance. Mm-hmm. Americans called it belly dance because the midsection was exposed. But essentially, Middle Eastern dance, you can trace it back to the temple dancing in India. And the temple dancers in India, before they were burned, before the temples were burned, and the temple dancers had to begin to migrate, which then they became the gypsies, and they migrated throughout the Middle East. And you have this mixture in the Middle East of the ancient teachings that came from the temples. Okay, so the style of dance that I teach is gypsy belly dance, and in order to get my students to unlock their body, to open up to the reflection in the mirror, to enjoy being in dance class, we have to bring in what's called Shakti. Shakti.
And what is that?
S-H-A-K-I. Shakti.
Uh-huh.
And what Shakti is this subtle energy which lives in the planet that has a heartbeat and a rhythm. And it is the same energy that you'll learn about if you do Tantra or some types of yoga. But essentially what this energy is its life force. It's the first place that we connect to as women in order to get connected to the earth. See, part of the thing is that women's emotional healing stems from grounding into the planet. Masculine spirituality is all about accessing the higher self or the future or the God, the one, the singular being. For women, we heal when we connect to this universal energy that comes through our earth. So in order for me to teach dance, I have to have women get connected to that energy, and that energy allows them to become fluid. It heals their joints. It allows their emotions to start to flow through in dance class. And it is the reason why I began the Sacred Feminine work, is because I saw the incredible healing that could take place simply from just breathing this energy into the body. And I'm talking physical healing, life pattern healing, and emotional balancing. It was so miraculous. I literally stopped. I was a medical intuitive for many years, and I ran a dance studio, and in 2003 I literally stopped doing my medical intuitive work so that I could focus all of my time channeling about, well, what is this energy and what's the mystery behind it and why is it so incredibly healing for women? And that was the blossoming of the Sacred Feminine work.
Ah.
And in dance, we do a lot of rib cage opening, and moving of the hands, and moving energy through the room and through the body and through the eyes. And in order to perform, you have to have that energy running through you so that your aura is shining. Yeah? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I'm just going to use the term belly dancing before, and rarely has the woman been present. But when they are, when they are, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, it's not worth it. I mean, it's just moving around.
But it is inside of those ancient temples in India where they were for hundreds and hundreds and even 1,000 years they were worshiping these three energy currents, and the dancers would dance like Kali, or the dancers would dance Shiva, or the dancers would dance beauty and abundance or love and compassion. And so the dancers were trying to infuse into their being these great energy currents that exist in nature so that they could understand them, and that was their spiritual path. That was it. And that is my spiritual path.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It sure does. I'm going to kind of shift because I want to make sure that we get this in. You talk about intuition, and there's something that you say that I had not heard before. Most people say just go with it, go with your intuition. And you feel that, as I understand it, and please correct me if I don't understand, that intuition should be studied and practiced before a person is let loose with that scalpel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about that, because that is contrary to what most people will tell you about intuition. Most people just say, trust it, go with it.
Yeah. So there's so much I could say about this. I'm going to close my eyes for a second and check in to see how I want to answer that question.
Please do.
Thank you. Okay, so like love, it requires dedication, listening, working through the ups and downs, honoring yourself, honoring your partner, understanding each other, being romantic, allowing your partner to be free to be how they are. Like love, intuition is an intimate relationship with yourself. And if you don't completely understand yourself, then you can't completely understand your intuition. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. The intuition guides us to ourselves, but then if we don't really know ourselves and we can't honor our truth, we can't really listen to intuition. So there's techniques that you can, there's techniques to be learned. And I teach, somewhere around 7 months to a year on just listening to your intuition.
Really?
This is so deep. You can get such clear guidance and such clarity and healing from really knowing how to listen to your intuition. And usually when people talk about their intuition, what they're talking about is like a brief moment, like a flash, or an emotional reaction to something. And because women have such strong emotions, we can't just go follow our instincts, so to speak, because then we're all over the place. And it's interesting, if you look at some of the work that's out there, especially around in the Denver and Boulder area, there's a lot of men that are teaching women that, and very well-known people, that essentially that this is how women are, that they're flighty, they're up and down, they have emotions, they go all over the place, and that the male's job is just to be that stable, grounding anchor for a woman. And what I say is that is not true at all. Women are powerful and grounded when they know how to be, when they can connect to themselves, when they're not relying on that anchor outside of themselves. We have an immense way to ground and connect and to allow our emotions to fully come through us and to get deeper into, well, what is your intuition? If there was a science behind it, you could really learn how to access it, so that the first level of listening to your intuition would be knowing what your truth is, and then the second level would be knowing who your spirit guides are, who's guiding you, what energy have you gathered to you throughout your lifetime, and when did you gather that guidance to you, and is it serving a purpose that is very old and is no longer going to bring you to where you need to go. So part of intuition is knowing what spiritual allies are supporting you and how do you connect to the positive spiritual allies. And then the final phase, or the last and most kind of profound phase of intuition, would be higher guidance. But it starts with the body. It starts with knowing your heart, knowing your intellect, and knowing your gut feelings distinct from your emotions and your programming as a child. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be pondering that for a while.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, when you said that it's often about emotion, yeah, I'm gonna think on that one, because I have a feeling that it's going to show me some things. But enough
right,
of that.
and that's why I really want to allow men into the programs that I teach. It's really important.
Okay. Well, very good. Shoshana, I ask every guest for one thing, an actionable step, something that our community can do to make a shift in their life. And I tipped you off beforehand, so I'd like to ask you, if you just had one thing that you could impart to these folks, what would it be? What can they do to make a shift in their life right now?
Take whatever is making you angry, honor it, honor the emotion that you have, and utilize that force to follow your truth, and allow that force to be the strongest force in the world so that you can live your truth. Bust through whatever's holding you back and do it viciously.
Viciously?
Because viciously. We got this one life to live here. This is your time. And if you dilly-dally around with being peaceful and harmonious and loving, you're not going to get to where you need to go. And most of the people who watch this program that you're doing have a purpose. And they need to be fighting for that purpose. And they need to be fighting for it like it is their warrior love life. It's what they war for.
I will do that. There was a time in my life I was angry a lot, just flashes, not long term, just flashes. And so, yeah, anger, I know that. And honoring it and
elevating it.
Elevating it. And what else did you say?
Allowing it to be the source that you can use to serve your purpose so that you can live your truth.
Okay.
There's so many people out there saying that, follow your dreams, live your truth, right?
Sure.
But it's like you got to be a warrior for what it is you believe in, and whatever your truest heart of heart says, no matter what's going on in your life, if you can follow that truth, you've done a great thing. So that's all I have to say on that.
Okay. Well, what impresses me about you is everything that I have read, and in our half hour together, there is no doubt in my mind that you are a warrior for your truth.
Thank you.
No doubt. And I thank you for that. You have a school, and you have classes that you teach. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, my school is called Priest Program, and it's a curriculum that builds people's deepest connection to these three energy currents, beginning with one-on-one sessions or group sessions, depending on what people like, beginning with healing the emotions and the auric field, connecting people to their intuition, and developing a very clear, powerful understanding of the intuitive body. That leads into the spiritual body, which is comprised of all of your spirit guides, and developing people's connections to their spirit guides. That's like when the magic starts, and then eventually bringing people into their journeying to meet their deities. And at that point, what takes place is that people can effectively change their life because they've accessed the deepest energy current that is the force behind all that happens in the world. And so true manifestation can take place. And that's my school. That's what I do. And my website is priestessworks.com.
Priestessworks.com, the Priestess
Yes.
Priest program. We'll have the link down in the show notes down below.
Thank you.
Now, do you also are you still doing dance classes as well?
I do. I teach dance classes here in Boulder, and that is called Serpent Sutra Belly Dance Classes.
Okay.
Same website, and there's a dance page.
Okay. Well, I'll put a link to that as well.
Yes. And then I also do spiritual readings and healings, always.
Okay. Shoshana, priestessworks.com, thank you so much for sharing time and your knowledge and what you've learned and what is obviously extremely important to you here on Sparks to Fire.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Go out to priestessworks.com and check out more about what Shoshana has to say. Learn about her work in the Priestess Priest program. What'd you think about what she had to say about intuition? Ask questions. Tell us what you think in the comments box down below. Give us a like on Facebook. Send me an email. I want to know what you're thinking after you watch these videos that I'm working so hard on. Thanks for watching Sparks to Fire. And until next time, may your sparks turn to fire in your life.